Recording.
We're good? Oh, we're live. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Vinyl Friday with Jessica and Joanne. And
I should separate you two because you're matching.
Oh,
we
matching.
are matching. We're like opposite flowers.
Yeah.
Stripes in the middle.
Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to cut really big. And a lot of people ask this all the time, especially with Cricut. I feel like you can cut large, but you're kind of limited to 12 inches, but you can go past that. So Jessica's going to use her silhouette and Joanne's going to use her Cricut. They're going to cut the same image. So you can do it.
Same exact image.
But it has to be an SVG to do it. If you buy, yeah. So it's, yeah.
It's
We'll
a
explain
lot.
that later. Yeah. No, not for Cricut. But we will go over that soon. So are you guys ready? Are you guys ready?
I think so. I think first we should play some tennis.
Oh yeah, well,
We've got the line, so we're gonna play a little tennis.
Remind you of
Oh yeah. Tell us what this reminds you of.
if this line moved up and down.
Tell us your age.
Yeah.
What it reminds you of. All right.
this will tell you mine.
You're one years old.
It's Florida, Georgia.
Oh.
I wrote it when they weren't looking.
That's
Anyway,
hilarious.
okay, so are you guys ready?
Ready for
For
some
this?
We're
football?
ready.
Okay. Do you guys want to explain anything?
Yeah, should we talk about it on the computer first?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Who wants to go first?
I can.
do you want to talk about Cricut?
Okay, so it can be done. It's a file that Starla created. So there's the file, and there's a link to it. Customer service is watching our blog right now. Or the comments. There's a link to it, so you can get the same file. That's what we're doing, and we're doing it 4 feet. So I'm doing it with my Cricut, and she's got it on her silhouette. So all I did was go in and slice some of the bigger images, and there's a video on our blog that shows how I did this on a different project, and in probably 2 weeks we'll have a video for this. We'll put this into short video form, so you'll see it. So all I did is go in and slice it into different pieces, and I need to go cut the blue pieces. So I will do that now and show you how to do that, how I'm going to do that, because you'll see one thing that I'm not using. And don't get scared, anybody. It's not going to do anything to the machine, but check it out. Check it out. Sorry. Gotta connect Bluetooth, and then I will cut this one.
Joanne, what's your favorite thing about Cricut?
My favorite thing about Cricut? All of it. All of it.
Good answer.
Favorite thing about Cricut is all of it.
I do think the Bluetooth is awesome on the Cricut.
Yeah, that's so handy, the Bluetooth, because, yeah. I don't have to worry about an extra cord here. I can use it from my phone, which my phone is actually recording right now, so I can't show you that part. But
Vanessa noticed that you are not using a mat.
I'm not. Look at that, I'm not.
Why?
You don't have to. On this, if you've got the Explorer, not on the Maker, but if you got the Explorer or the Air 2, you can cut vinyl without the mats. And sometimes it's just quicker to put the vinyl in without putting it on the mat and cut it. So that's what I'm doing.
Alright, should we see what Jessica's up to? She's working around over here. I'm just gonna stand between the lights.
I didn't know if I should have started, but I did start. We're not timing, right?
No.
Okay.
Okay, Jessica, what's going on?
So, Joanne told you about how huge it is and how it's an SVG. We do have that available on our blog. So if you go to expressionsvinyl.com and then click on blog, there's a blog post up that is where you can get this. Did Joanne already tell you that?
Yeah.
This might be
Yeah.
double. Sorry.
Someone.
You guys already heard that. So anyway, I changed up the colors a little bit and I took out the white background just to make it easier on myself. So I used the knife tool quite a bit, and as you can see, the C, let me show you my C. This is one piece of my C. I have 3 pieces, but it's huge. So with the Silhouette Cameo, you can cut 12 inches wide, but that is kind of a myth. I don't dare cut bigger than 11 inches wide when it's something that's long. If it's something that's little, like 11 and a half, 11 3/4, maybe. If you put your project on a mat, you can definitely get a bigger piece, but I never use a mat. So the rule for myself is 11, maybe 11 and a half inches wide, and then you can go as long as you need to. So I'm using rolls, 5-foot roll of vinyl, and we're probably gonna get the question of, well, what's better to get, sheets or rolls? Since my C is longer than 24 inches, I decided instead of piecing it more with a 24-inch sheet, I would just do a roll. So if you're buying more than like 3 sheets, because a 5-foot roll equals 2.5 sheets of the 12 by 24. So if you're buying more than 2 or 3 sheets, get a roll, it's cheaper. And our 5-foot rolls are like $5, so adhesive vinyl is cheap.
Now, I noticed that your roller is over here.
Ooh, that's a good
What
thing.
is
Okay,
that?
so that is another thing I do when I'm cutting really long. I scooch my roller over here. This is the normal place when you get it, but you can just twist this and move over and then lock it back into place. But this just, when you're cutting really long, this will just hold your material into place a little better. Because my material is exactly 12 inches, my roller over here is 12 inches, it can move and get a little squampy. Is that a word? I'm gonna lose a Scrabble. Okay, so it's gonna, if it gets a little bit off, it's still gonna hold over here and not be so bad, so, yeah.
And it won't hurt your vinyl?
No, it's just fine. Okay, let me show you. There is going to be a little indentation. I don't know if that's showing up on camera, but you can see the little line that it's making, but it still cuts fine. When I put that on the wall, you guys will, like, it'll just blend into the wall and you won't see that line. It'll go away, so, yeah. I'm gonna cut my first, I want this always to be my first piece, and I realized I hadn't cut that yet, so I'm gonna cut that out and then I can start putting stuff on the wall.
Okay, so let's see Jessica load it and
Okay, I gotta cut this
cut it
out.
large. She's also using this one.
Oh, my premium blade.
And we go back and forth on this. But
Starla loves her auto blade, and I don't trust things. I don't trust.
it's just sitting over here by its lonesome. But you can put a different blade in this slot. It's not just designated for the auto blade. A lot of people ask that. This is the only one that has to go in this spot. So, all right.
Okay, so I just cut that piece off, and you do, when you put a roll or a piece of vinyl and you're gonna be cutting long, you wanna make sure your edge that you're putting into your machine is nice and straight. So I use the little grid on the back and just cut a line across. So I get a nice straight line, and then, so I line this up and I have it just a little bit over, and then that one, and I hold it, click load, and then something else I like to do is just make sure it's straight, so I lift up my bar and straighten it out if I need to. Sometimes this right-hand side doesn't load quite as fast as the left, and it just depends, because your vinyl is kind of curling, and so it just doesn't grab it as quickly. So we've got that loaded, and now I'm gonna go and get this on my mat right. First I need to change my mat, and I always call this mat, I'm gonna call it my board, to like 35 inches. So that's gonna lengthen, and anything I put on this white part is what is going to cut. So I need to rotate this guy. And there's so many different ways to do this. So you might have your own favorite way. This is my favorite way. So just do what works. So you can see down here, I'm off my mat a little bit. So I need to make my board longer. I don't want to confuse it, because if you're actually using a cutting mat, they only come in 24 inches long. So, and see, I nestled in some pieces. This is actually the tail to my Y on Always. I had to cut that, and then to save vinyl, I put my little dots in here as well. So I'm watching my red lines, making sure I'm not like if I were to put it right there, it's gonna slice it right down there. That's not gonna be good. So I wanna make sure all my cutting lines are inside that white part. Send. I got my blade at a 2, speed 547, and I'm gonna send it. Cross my fingers. It should be great.
Presenting your mock-up.
Yes. Is that 2?
So Jessica's got her mock-up with her colors,
Yeah.
which is a great idea because how many times have you done videos and we forget to print these and
I know.
you're like, crap, where did this go?
And especially with this, there's so many little places where they're gonna overlap. I wanted to make sure I knew what was going behind and what was going to the front.
This will be a little tricky because there's knockouts, there's overlays, like you'll see their tips and tricks. Joanne did the color coordination that's kind of already on the file, so you're gonna see. I think it's fun to look at mock-ups and see how they turn out in reality. It's super fun to watch that come up. So
Something Joanne did on hers, I don't know if you guys showed this, but she numbered what was going first, which was super smart, and I forgot about that.
yeah, she taped hers up. Ooh, let's go look at Joanne's. Joanne's got hers up and ready to go. See, so hers is pretty close to what the file actually looks like on the blog, but she numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so she knows which ones to start with. So, which is awesome. And then she has last right there. I didn't notice that the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Last.
That's the last one that goes up.
So, all right, do we have, I'm trying to watch comments. What's going on, Joanne? How are you doing?
Maybe just a recap of what we're doing completely.
Okay.
I'm noticing lots of new people. But we're doing this gigantic, oh, it's up on the wall. You just saw it. Gigantic wall hanging, but just to kind of show that it can be done both in Cricut and in Silhouette, not just one or the other. It can be done in both. There's a couple extra steps you've got to take, but it can be done in both.
Susan asked, can you do that with the Cricut machine? Susan, if you're still watching, can you like clarify what? If you're talking about the mat, yes, you can cut without a mat. You can't cut, can you cut larger than 24 inches, Joanne?
No.
So if you look at Joanne's C, hers has a slice in between because she's limited to 24 inches.
Yeah, but don't let that limit you on
Yeah.
what you can do, because you can still do a great, huge wall hanging with it, so.
And I mean, Joanne's got huge wall hanging, like,
It's
I don't know if we
probably,
posted, I think we did post that one in the blog.
yeah, you can post that. It's probably 8 feet by 8 feet. It's huge on my wall.
So yeah, it's don't think that, oh, I'm limited to 24 inches. You just have to kind of tweak it a little bit. So Joanne's got hers taping, Jessica's still cutting. Let's look at some questions. What program are you using? Sorry.
And what machine?
Jessica, what program and what machine are you using?
I'm using Silhouette Studio. It's free with the Silhouette machine. And you can actually, if anybody has questions on whether like Cricut versus Silhouette, I always say you can go get both programs for free. So go to Cricut.com, you can download their program or make an account, and then on Silhouette you can download their program and try them out. Try out both of them and see which one's more comfortable. The machines are both great machines. There's pros and cons to both. So really it comes down to the program and what you like. I get into Cricut and I'm kind of lost and confused but Joanne knows every part of it and it works for her. So it just totally depends on what your I don't want to say how your brain works, but just your style and what you're comfortable with. So
Yeah.
And I'm using the Cricut 3.
The Cricut?
No.
Cricut 3!
The
No.
Cameo 3. Cameo.
Three.
And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but there might be a new one coming out later this year
Of Cameo.
of Cameo. And Cricut had some big moves too this week.
Oh yeah. Alright, so let's go back over to Team Cricut over here. What program are you using or what
I'm
machine?
using Design Space, Cricut Design Space.
And it's free.
It's free, yeah. It's
So-
free. You can subscribe to get Cricut Access, which gives you access to 75,000 plus images. So, but yeah, I'm just using Cricut Design Space, and I'm an Air 2 machine.
There's quite a few questions. Can you cut on the Maker without a mat?
No,
No. That's the only one, right?
of the newer machines.
Yeah,
right.
that you have to use a mat on. But it doesn't matter because you can still do what Joanne's doing on your mat.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's just that you have to use a mat with that one. Okay, so let's look at some questions. So you do need a mat with a maker, yes. Tammy loves her premium blade. I like mine too. I just.
You're more trusting.
I like my auto blade. Although lately it's been a love-hate relationship. I think it's just getting late.
Auto blade is
So let's see.
Try to decide how to line that up. If I do it beforehand or if I do it up on the wall. And I think I'm going to do it up on the wall. Sometimes I'll line it up and put it underneath the second layer of transfer tape, but I think I'm just going to do that on the wall. So we'll try and put this first piece up. The C.
Okay, right. Joanne's going up.
We're not racing.
That's true. We're not racing.
Becky says, I wanted to do a really large one for my living room, but I'm a little intimidated. Glad you guys are doing this. So,
It may look intimidating, but it really isn't. It really is simple. You just got to have a little patience. That's what I recommend for everybody. Just a little bit of patience, and you can do it.
Can you use the Cricut program with Silhouette?
No.
No. But you can download both of them for free. I use both depending upon what I feel like doing. But they're both easy to use, but you kind of have to, they're different. So just play around with them.
About my application tool.
Joanne, do you have any tips for keeping things straight on the wall since you're putting yours up?
This one, it really lends itself to be whatever direction, but if you have one that really needs to be straight, I would go ahead and mark the wall with whatever, mark it with painter's tape, do something to help mark the wall and to kind of guide you. You can then use the grid line transfer tape. I'm not really using it for that purpose today because my grid lines are sideways, but just mark your wall ahead of time with some painter's tape or something like that, and yeah.
All right. Okay. Should we see what Jessica's doing? Jessica, do you use the designer edition software with Silhouette?
I do have the designer edition up right now. Yes, I do. It is the designer edition right now. Normally I use the basic. The designer edition has some little erasers and stuff that I like. So, but the nice thing is with the last update, you can switch back, you can toggle back and forth super easy between the two programs. So,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I do like to keep it basic because when we're doing tutorials and stuff, beginners always have the first one. So,
Not everybody has and there is a business edition as well. And actually, in the business edition, there is a tiling feature that helps with this, but it does take a little practice to get used to. So I noticed you cut out a box out of your box.
yeah, so I had these little dots inside that to save vinyl. I've been known to waste some vinyl. So I did, and then I put a box around this guy. I like to put a box around everything so I know where to weed it, because when you have this huge long 5-foot piece and you've got little boxes on it everywhere, or words and letters and stuff, sometimes you don't know where one design is starting, and so I always like to use.
And if you notice, because Jessica says she wastes vinyl, if you look at a little trash can behind her, me and Joanne thought it would be funny to put a $300 fine for wasting vinyl. But right now she doesn't have any wasted vinyl. It's just she's using it.
It's because I threw it away.
She threw it.
Haven't seen me throw it away yet.
She owes us a couple years worth of salary.
I do. Oh, isn't that funny? They're so funny. It was on my desk and I seriously laughed so hard. I just lost my app tool.
She put it in your back pocket.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's why it's blending in.
Okay, so we've got a few questions. Debbie, you can find this cut file if you go to Expressions Vinyls, expressionvinyl.com. Go to the home page at the top where it says blog. It'll be the first blog, and there's a link in there that you can go get it for free. So go check it out. And there is a Silhouette version and an SVG. So if you're a Cricut user, grab the SVG. If you're a Silhouette user and you just have basic, grab the Silhouette file. Designer edition and higher, you can do either or. It doesn't matter. But Cricut SVG, basic Silhouette. So let's see if there's any other questions for you guys. Oh, and they're using different transfer tapes. Well, that's Jessica again, then we'll go back to Joanne about their transfer tapes. What are you using and why?
I'm using the paper transfer tape. I do like the clear for layering, but I love the paper because you can just tear off, like, I'm using a knife for this, but I just will show you. You can just tear it apart. And so I just find it super easy to work with. You can still see through it mostly. Like I can still see my letters. So, I don't know, I just love the paper. I do, if I'm layering, I will use the clear. So yeah, personal preference.
Because they're asking the roll is huge, and that is
This is a 12-inch roll. We have them on our website.
by 100 feet. 100 feet.
They're huge.
So they're big, but you can go get those. We have people watching comments, so if they can go add in the links to the transfer tape, we'll get them to you. Okay, so Joanne is using different transfer tape. She kind of touched on it, but what are you using and why?
I'm using very clear grid lines. And sorry, I couldn't think and talk at the same time. I'm using the clear grid lines just because I wanted to be able to see where the seams were and match it up there a little better. I have two favorites, this one and the paper, but they're all great. But I just needed to be able to see the seams, where my seams were at, where I had to slice the image and do it with this.
Can you guys even see your seam? I didn't even see it right at first until she pointed it out. So it works great for lining stuff up because you can see where your lines are going to be. So that's awesome. And the grid is only available in a 30-foot roll, not the big 100-foot roll. So they are a little bit smaller, but both are great. It just depends on what you choose to use. Okay, so
I have a question
just
for you guys and the audience. I'm being dead serious. Would you guys save this?
No, I would.
You would save it?
I would.
Would you guys save this? It's like, what, 2 inches wide maybe?
Yeah.
Would you guys save it?
Because you can still cut it. I mean, well, for your scraps. When I have stuff like this, I cut it down to 12 inches.
So
I
you have a
just it
12
across
inch,
that. Yeah.
that you can just lay flat?
But there's fun projects people have done with strips and stuff, so I don't know. It depends.
Let us know. I want to know who would save it and who would throw it away. I would throw it away.
Sarah would, Andy would, Tara would,
You guys are...
I have a
Meredith
box of
would.
stuff like that, and then I just give it to my mom.
Amanda would. You are in the minority right now.
So $300 fine.
We're making dots, balloons. Yeah. Sing it all.
So I also wanted to show, we have the paper in a 6-inch roll too. So for smaller projects, if you do smaller projects on a regular basis, the 6-inch roll is great. A little easier, smaller to work with, but the 12-inch roll, if you're doing big stuff, is awesome.
All right, so it looks like Jessica's ready to start going. We'll kind of watch them for a bit. Ask us some questions and we'll shout them out to them. We have people commenting too to get to them, but ask us questions. I'm watching too, so I'm trying to do both.
Look how big that C is. This is going to be so huge.
Yeah.
I love it.
So they've got both of their mock-ups taped up and they do look different. So, and when Jessica showed me her colors, I was like, these are different colors. Like, they're bold, which I think it's going to be super cute. I know what that one looks like. But you can change colors. You don't have to stick with colors on files. I mean, change it up.
Emily would toss it. You're not alone.
Yay, thank you, Emily. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saving it. That's great. I just have so much crap I already save. And I don't know, vinyl is so... Adhesive vinyl. Okay, heat transfer vinyl is a different story because it's more expensive. And you use smaller pieces, I feel like. I use smaller pieces. So, if that were to be a heat transfer, I would totally save it. Adhesive? Sorry.
Yeah, there's kind of mixed on both. People are saying they'd throw it, they'd keep it. Janet says it's too long to throw out and wide enough to keep. So, but yeah, like people use them for ornaments and so
Oh,
yeah.
ornaments, that's a good idea.
Save it. Dina says she's a hoarder. Or we are hoarder. Are we hoarders?
I'm a hoarder when it comes to some things.
Scraps are awesome. Okay,
It's
so
not straight, it's not straight.
we'll let them work for a little bit.
I should have brought a level.
Looks pretty straight to me.
Okay, here we go.
So, and this is interesting, Jessica's starting with that one, and Joanne has that one listed as last.
Oh, really?
So,
She's doing
this
a
will be
C.
interesting.
C first.
Okay, what are you doing there, Jessica?
Okay, so usually I would peel off a little piece of the backing, the paper backing, just to leave the transfer tape, to get it straight. But since I cut out those little dots here, I already had little pieces. So now it's on the wall. I'm gonna stick this half down. I'm gonna peel the backing off of this half. And so I'm just dealing with half of my sign at a time to apply. So I'm gonna carefully lay this half down, and then I can peel off this half, and it just gives me less to have to babysit and potentially stick back on itself and get a messed up sign. So just breaks it up a little bit so you have less wrinkles and a more controlled way to put it on.
Okay, so one of the questions was, Debbie missed Jessica cutting her C. Did she have to slice it like Joanne? No, not quite in the same. She could get hers longer.
It did. I'll show you. Do you want me to show
Show
you?
it again.
So I actually did a screencast of this, and we'll put it in the big long video of this next week or in a couple weeks. But let me move some things off my mat. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste this. That is something I always do, is copy and paste, so I'm not messing up the original when I'm manipulating things. So I've got my giant C here. You can see it's not gonna fit on my mat. So what I did is take a box and draw a square that is 11 inches wide. You could do a little longer, but I already need to seam it, so I'm going with 11. And then, I'm gonna tighten up that box a little bit, okay. And I'm gonna zoom out a bit. And my C and my E are hooked together right now, so I'm gonna grab the whole thing. And I'm gonna copy, paste it, just so I have another one, in case something goes wrong. Okay, select all of those, go to Object up here, go to Modify, and you can do several different ways. I'm gonna do Divide on this one. And there's so many things going on, it's gonna take a minute. But now, that divided out where my square was, so now I have this piece, and now I have these other two pieces and my E. So now I can, oops, hold on, I didn't group that together. So now I can take this part, cut this part of the C out, and then cut these out, and when I'm applying it to the wall, I will put them together, seam them up. So that is how I did. There's also the knife tool. So if you go over here to the left-hand side, I'll show you that really quick. Let's pretend I need to cut this. I've got my knife tool that I've selected over here, and you can just slice across wherever you need. And then go back to my select and pull that down, and now I've sliced that apart. So that's another way to do it. And like I said earlier, there's tons of different ways you can cut these up and do it. That's just the way I like to do it, so.
Thanks, Jessica. Okay, so we've got people that just got on and they don't know what we're doing. We are taking a file that was probably like a 9x12 when you download it, and we're blowing it up, and they're making it 4 feet by 4 feet roughly. So we're just cutting larger than what your mat, or just your machine in general, has a capability to, because like Jessica just showed, you're limited to your width, and then like Cricut, sometimes you're limited to your length. It depends. Either way, for this large, you have to slice it. Either way you slice it.
Either way you slice it.
Either way you slice it. I was waiting for it. So, okay, so they've got a few tips and tricks. Joanne's sticking hers up. I do that too. Take the extra little bit of transfer tape and just like stick them there, just so you can see.
Just so I, just kind of, yeah, temporary until I get the actual ones put up there to make sure I've got my spacing right. Because I'm kind of guessing on the spacing based on this. So it might be a little off, but just use your transfer tape, space it up there like that, and then It's easier to put it up. Don't put it up permanent until you're ready to commit to it.
Yeah, because if you notice, she just has one overlapping, so she knows what goes where.
Yeah.
And then let's check out Jessica lining up her seams over here. She's not using clear transfer tape, so she's doing something else.
So this is my little tell to my why, and I just took off the transfer tape on that seam so I could see it really well. And then I'll lay it down. That was a little baby seam, so that one was easy. I got some other ones I'm a little nervous about.
Jessica, is the paper transfer tape less tacky than the clear?
I think they're about the same to me, I feel like. What do you think?
I think, yeah.
I think they're about the same,
I-
especially to this one.
Yeah, I honestly think it's just preference for the four.
So you guys might be seeing some funky things. I don't know if it's coming up on film, but this is actually the texture of the wall behind. So it's not, there's not something wrong with my vinyl. It's just, it's got that Santa Fe texture, and you can kind of see it's just picking that up. That's totally normal.
Is there a way to like smooth stuff out?
Yes. So earlier we were playing a game. Depending on your generation, it might be ping pong. It might be, what was the Atari game?
I think it's hard.
What was the one?
Pong.
A pong.
Yeah.
Did anybody guess pong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's something you can do, especially if you have popcorn or orange peel texture.
Yeah.
Not popcorn. Popcorn stealing. That's, you're not sticking vinyl with that. But if you have a orange peel, you can take a tennis ball and just rub it around, and it's got the nice felty, soft thing. So you can rub it down. You can roll it with your hand, but it's just gonna get that vinyl right into all those grooves. It's gonna push it because it's got give from the tennis ball. So that is a good trick. I haven't used that trick in a long time. So
Yeah.
Joanne remembered.
I like that.
It's awesome.
So I'm gonna put it in the middle of the floor, and then we'll have a game of tennis.
Andy says she'd love to see how Joanne cut her large pieces. So Joanne, when you get a break,
Okay.
do you want to show? Look at how she's peeling. I will note, I will tell people this, when they peel large surfaces like this, because you don't have gaps, don't pull back.
Don't pull straight back, pull
down.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
why you
it's-
get puffed.
So it's almost flat. And sometimes I'll just stick my hand on it and just pull it down like that.
Fold and roll.
Yeah.
You can't tuck and roll.
Fold and roll.
And
Like
like
that.
there's,
Then it's not fighting to pull off the wall. It's not, yeah.
Can you guys reuse either of these tapes?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Yes, a couple of mine over there are
Like I would reuse that one.
used.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple more that I need to put tape on. So I'm saving my tape over here.
Okay.
Oh, show
Yeah.
how I did this. So, my transfer tape way here. In Design Space, gotta cancel my cut. Okay, let me get, I have another one in here that I didn't cut. So I had this big image, and what I did, I sized this one up to how big we wanted to do it, up to the 4 feet wide, and then took each piece and decided if I needed to cut it or not. The C was actually, it needed to be cut in 2 different spots. So all I did, I'll show you on a littler scale. Let me ungroup it. So I ungroup it so I can just get some of the pieces at a time. Move it down so there's not so much other stuff on the screen. There we go. Okay, now to slice it, all I do is add a shape in, and I typically use a square. And it puts it up there. And I'm just moving down to the bottom of my screen because there's so much going on. But change the size of your square to whatever will cover the piece that you want to slice. So to slice something, you need to have 2 different images, only 2 images. So now you've got the square covering what you need to slice, and you just select those 2 pieces, and then down in the bottom corner, hit slice. So now I've got that one I can delete out, this other dark one I can delete out, but now I've got, so you've got the 2 different pieces right there. So that's how I sliced it. Just a simple image, put over it and slice it. And I always use a square, unless you want, you know, you're trying to slice on a curve or something, but I always just use a square so that I can get a straight line. And that's how I slice it. But there's a video in the blog, customer service is linking a bunch of stuff. There's a video in the blog where I show step by step on how I did this huge wall project. It's the same concept, just take the square and slice that image. So, yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions?
She said, okay, cool, thanks. Just want to make sure there wasn't a better way. Okay, so if you watched stuff in the past, like we've done our Christmas windows, we're doing a lot of the same type deal because the Christmas windows are big too. So if you've watched those before, you'll probably see a lot of the same tips and tricks. So this is interesting too. I'm looking at the walls. Jessica's like tiling hers. Not tiling, but she sets and then she kind of like puzzle pieces them together. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
And then Joanne's is spaced. Like this is interesting.
Oh, I
Just-
like,
Just to see like how your guys' minds are like thinking, it's kind of cool.
Joanne, how did you know how to space which one where?
I numbered them, and I kind of guessed. I'm guessing on the spaces, but you could probably measure, you know,
Yeah.
how
Look at your program.
how different you want it. Yeah, but I
Oh.
just kind of,
But when you had them taped up before, that kind of
yeah, I had them
Space them out.
temporarily taped up before, so.
The other thing I love about, we're both using Oracal 631, right? Are you?
Yeah.
using? So it's removable. So if you mess up, and these are so big, like I could peel off this S and reposition it, and it's probably gonna come off cleanly. It hasn't been up there for very long. Now, if this were to have been up for a year and I wanna reposition my S, it's probably gonna be a little harder to get off the wall and it's probably gonna stretch and tear a little bit. So if it's fresh on the wall, it's easy to peel off and stick back up. I don't want to say that it's repositionable. It's repositionable for like 24, 48 hours. And these are such big letters. If they were tiny little fine, that would be impossible and very hard. But these are nice thick letters, so it makes it easy.
And if you keep removable vinyl up for was it like a year, it will
actually-
become permanent.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
In the right conditions, especially if like the sun is shining right on it, you're gonna have a.
Alright, so let's see what Jessica's mind's thinking right
My
here.
mind is
What do you think?
nervous. Now this makes me nervous because now it has to line up. Like now I have to be a little more precise. So I'm kind of nervous.
To a point, this file's kind of fun because I mean you don't
It
really
is.
have to get it straight.
I do like this file because it is kind of fun and funky and like, yeah, you can really, you could totally space it out, like make it really tall if you wanted to. So you were kind to us with that. I feel like this is up here. This is the tricky. Oh, because that has got to go in my dot. I really like the cheat sheet. It's very helpful. It's got to go closer.
Alright, do
Oh.
we have any questions, guys? Still got quite a few people watching.
I almost messed up. I was following these dots, but I'm piecing it together. So this one is the dots I need to be lining up.
I wasn't
See?
going to say anything, but she caught it.
Starla was just gonna let me die.
I would have let you stuck it on there and be like, wait a second.
Make sure I got the right.
Because I had to look at it like a couple times. I was like, I don't think
She-
that's the end of the scene.
No, she was just gonna let me fail. Well, that's easier because then I can just
Just line that guy up.
sip. Yeah. But then I want to lighten this guy up after. So I'm gonna get this kind of into place. But then this one will be easier to piece and line up than the guy.
And neither of you guys are using the white behind the C?
No, not behind the C. I do on the E, but not behind the C.
Oh, look at what Joanne did. This is like my favorite thing ever. What'd you do?
I layered?
Before.
Oh, before I put it up,
Before,
yeah.
yeah.
Why complicate it on the wall? Just layer it before.
And it's one
I
piece of
didn't
turn.
layer really, I got a little tiny off, but.
That's the whole design. You don't have to get this file. If you guys get the file, it's in the blog. And it's free for you guys. So if you guys like this, because there's always time to create, right? Always. Always. But you can, where was I going with this?
Oh, the nice thing about the file, you can do, yeah, it doesn't have to be exact.
It was designed to be a little skiwampus. So behind the C and the two E's, there's actually a white solid option. You don't have to use it. They're not using it on the big ones. But you can also make it off, because it's supposed to be kind of, what did Jessica call it? Skiwampish? Skiwampus?
Is that a technical term?
Skiwampus. So, yeah. And Joanne, is that the same transfer tape you used before?
That was the one that I had on silver. I just pulled it off the silver and put it onto the white.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But not like one that you pulled off of this.
No, I put those on other ones.
Yeah. So you can reuse them, especially when they're big like that. And if you pull it off and you're done with that piece, just roll it back on the roll, and eventually it will start to break down, but you can reuse them. The paper transfer tape, I feel like that's a little bit harder to do with.
Yeah,
It's so thin.
I would use it like maybe twice.
All right, Jessica, what you doing there again? Now your method's a little different, isn't it?
It's still my same seam. I just
You did
put
it
a piece of transfer tape in the middle just to hold up. Just because it's so big, I don't want to pull off the whole backing paper and try and line it up and stick it on. And I am not coordinated enough to do that, so I need all the help I can get. I love all these cute little polka dots.
Everybody likes polka dots, right?
They're so cute.
Should have given you guys a twist and had you do like a pattern on them.
Oh yeah.
But you can make your own patterns with polka dots. Alright, do we have any questions, guys? Have you guys done this before? Customer service is commenting as well. And we do have the 20% off coupon for Htv right now.
This would make a super cute shirt.
I was gonna make the shirt with the file so you can see that you can do it on e-transfer too, but I ran out of time last night. So I didn't get to it. I didn't feel like doing it at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I have a bubble down there.
I like how that blue looks on the gray.
I got a couple bubbles, but that's okay.
I like it with the too.
I'm just
Oh, how
gonna,
do you get rid of bubbles, Joanne?
well, I'm gonna try and push them to the side. The nice thing about it is the wall is textured, so, you know, just blend into the wall. But you can kind of push them to the side. And if they don't move, then just get a little pin or a blade and poke it. Let me grab a
Procedure.
too many things in my hand. Try that one. Just put a little hole in it. It comes right out. See? Unless you're up like really close like the camera is right now, you won't know that it's there. I want to get that one to the side, but see? And all the air just comes right out. And you're good to go.
Corey wants to know if she cuts it, will someone come put it up for her?
It's a Corey.
How much you gonna pay us? How much you gonna pay us?
I would. It's been a while since we've seen you, Corey.
Yeah. We'll put it up.
Let's put it on the back of your car.
All three of us will come in.
Yeah, all three of us will come. Yeah, what piece should I do now? The T. The T. See, the T I had to separate. This was a full 12 by 24 sheet, and so I had to cut that little piece off and the tail of the T down there. So they were just on here. I cut them apart so I could use them.
Gina asked, does it show the L lines through? The L lines?
The L lines.
Can you
Elaborate?
oh, she's talking about on the always, I think. It's knocked out.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Yes, it was knocked out here. I'll pull that up a little bit to show. See, it's not there. So that was kind of nice. It was kind of a helpful way to line up. And you can see I didn't get it super perfect, but it's really close. And from far away, you're not gonna see, so.
And if you don't like, some people don't like to layer vinyl on top of vinyl, especially on like shirts, because it can look bulky. In both programs, Cricut is slice, right? Slice.
Yeah.
And Silhouette, it's not more difficult. There's a few more like places you have to go first. It's called Subtract All, but if you grab your whole image and do Subtract All in your Modify window, it will knock out anything that's behind it. So you'll get a bunch of funky shapes, like, I don't know if there's a good one. So like Jessica's C right here, if she didn't want that to show, she could subtract this out and that would just disappear, but it would keep these little pieces. So there's different ways to do it if you'd rather knock it out. Sometimes that can help because it's kind of like a puzzle at that point. So it depends how you want to do it. I've done that before, and I'm kind of surprised Jessica's not doing your signature offset.
I always do an offset. Always, always. Because it helps me line things up. But this was so big that I was like, no, that's so many seams.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could show you. We'd be here all day. We could show you.
It looked really cute with an offset, but yeah, you'd have like
It would look cute with an offset.
chunks.
But yeah, that would be such big seams. Like,
Yeah.
I debated, because I always do it to help me line things up. But
I even said to Joanne, I wonder if Jessica's gonna do an offset on hers. And she didn't.
oh, I like how we have a garbage can and I'm not using it.
So how much more do you guys have? You've got, they basically,
We're like doing opposite
Swap.
pieces. Her first pieces are going to be my last pieces.
that's
Funny.
funny.
So
All right, do you guys have any other questions? Oh, transcript question again. What kind are we using? Jessica is using the paper transfer tape,
Yes, ma'am.
and because it's really easy to use. Paper's probably my favorite, but my second favorite is what Joanne is using, and she's using the clear gridded transfer tape. And I just like it because you can see your lines and stuff. You can. So what I actually do, if I'm layering stuff, I will take my paper transfer tape and do that first, and then my top layer I'll use the clear. So just so I can line everything up and it looks nice. But they both are great. So, and let's see.
Do we carry printable Htv?
Yes, we do,
You do.
and it's awesome.
This, you could make this into a printable
Yeah.
too.
Really easy.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say on those, if it's something that's kind of like gappy like this, just do an offset on it or put a shadow behind it if you can. Because if you print just this, it doesn't have a cover sheet like Transfer does. You'd have to place these manually.
Right.
So it's more for just like an image.
Make it one big solid image with a design,
Yeah.
like a square around it, or.
Just something simple, but it's white, so if you put it on a white shirt, you can get it like a square. If it's black, you might have a little white halo around it. But no, yeah, you can do it, and it's awesome. It's great. I've done it on a couple shirts, and I haven't had any problems with it, so I love it. All right, do you guys have any other tips going along the way?
No, except just patience. That's the biggest thing. And just take it slow. It's not a race to get it done. Just take it slow to do the seams like that. And then once you peel it off, you would never know there's a seam there. So I have 2 seams in the T.
I can't even see them.
Yeah, you can't see them. Unless you get really close, then you can tell where they're at, but there's 1 seam there and 1 seam there.
When you catch the light right, you see it. Otherwise,
But not unless you're really close,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And especially when you have textured walls, I think it masks it even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yay for textured walls.
Something else, like with doing such a big project, like Joanne said, patience, but also realize that if I were to mess up this C, that's less than $2 worth of vinyl. So I'll just recut it out and try again. Like, don't waste your whole project if you screw up one piece. Just get another piece of vinyl, try again. Yeah, just patience. Patience is good. I don't have patience, we all know this.
No, sometimes.
so people would like to know what printable Htv is.
Ooh.
It's basically what it is.
It's inkjet, like ours is inkjet, so you can put it through your home printer and.
Joanne did a video not too long ago. She did it on some koozies. She's done it on some shirts. But yeah, any inkjet printer any inkjet printer, you just print out your image. Use your registration marks. Are they called registration marks in Cricut, Joanne?
Your print then cut
Your
marks.
print then cut marks. Yeah, so print then cut marks or registration marks, just so you can see where it needs to cut around. And then it's very thin, but when you order it, there is an instruction sheet that comes with it, and it's really easy. So, but it's just a printable heat transfer, and it's super cute. So if you have someone wanting like a graphic that's got a lot of gradient to it, or colors, fades, and stuff like that, it might be a better alternative to do something like that. So.
I just messed up.
Oh no, Jessica, what'd you do?
My turquoise was supposed to go first.
Oh, so how are you gonna fix that?
I'm gonna peel it up. And I'm gonna put some paper behind it. There you go. So it doesn't
Good tip, because it happens.
stick. I'm gonna put that behind it to hold it. And then I'm gonna put my turquoise and lay that back over. So that's where the removable is really nice. You can just peel it up and fix it.
Another one, or you can keep going. I'll say another one I just did. If you forget to weed something, it's really okay.
Did you forget to?
Yeah,
I was gonna ask.
I forgot to weed this little piece, but just get your weeding tool. Keep sticking to the transfer tape. And Tyson took my light.
Wait, take her light.
There we go.
There you go.
Doesn't
See?
take your cheese.
See, it works.
Our little inside jokes. No one understands.
A pea food touches the cheese.
So, if you were to do this with permanent vinyl, where you put one on first, how hard would it be to pull back the permanent vinyl?
You can still, it does depend on what is behind it. So this is a wall, it's gonna peel off fairly easy. If it were glass, you would stretch out, because it's gonna stick instantly to glass, so you would stretch out your vinyl and have problems. So at that point, you could either just lay it over the top or peel it up and cut a new piece. So yeah, it just depends on your surface that you're putting it on. If it's forgiving or not.
A lot of people are still asking about the HTV. While they're working, I'll answer. Candy, on the Printable Htv, it doesn't have a carrier sheet, so it's not like our pattern HTV. If you put, we've done a little experimenting with it. If you put like an extra carrier sheet that's from something else, it could lift the print. But if you have an older one, sometimes it's not. But if you're going for a distressed look, I decided it's not that bad. So if you want a distressed look, carrier sheet's probably fine. But it's more designed just to be set on your shirt or your bag or whatever you're doing. And then you put the multi-use paper over top and press it. A tip I'll tell you, if you do that, don't put it under your heating element before, because it's so thin it wants to curl. So I hope that answered your question. These are turning out so cute. These would be so cute in like a nursery or a preschool, like a reading corner or an art corner.
Craft room.
Elementary school bathroom.
I should have done this in your office. People are always like, Jessica, you need stuff on your wall. You just need to put pineapples all over your wall. Just do an all over pattern. This is so
That would
great.
be cute.
And they're both doing this completely opposite. That's kind of funny to me.
It is really funny.
In fact, Joanne marked that always is going to be last and Jessica put hers up first. It just goes to show you how everybody's minds are different. So you don't have to do it how we do it. There's tips and tricks. I mean,
Yeah, do it. What makes sense for you? What works?
yeah. So, what you working on, Joanne?
Reusing my transfer tape
Oh yeah.
Woo!
and starting to put some of these up. That's two different pieces, so. There's the rest of that one. The always. So I think I'm gonna attempt some of these little ones and then put the always up. Maybe.
So why did you cut the A off?
Because the A goes somewhere else. It's not part of the always, it's part of the create. So it goes on a completely different spot.
And some people are still just tuning in. So are cutting large and off the mat. So silhouette, you can, well, both machines have a 12-inch width, but like Jessica explained earlier, if you go back and watch it, she kind of goes a little bit smaller than that because it doesn't go quite to the edge. But you can cut really long on silhouette. Cricut, you can cut to 24 inches, so you have to slice a little bit different, but either way, you have to slice it if you're doing this large. So they're just taking a regular file that was probably like 9 by 12 when it opens up, and they blew it up to 4 by 4-ish. It's a little bit longer, but that's what we're doing. We're just showing you tips and tricks on how to put large images. And I mean, this is not overly large, but if you're starting out, this might be pretty big. Joanne's done stuff that's like 8 feet by what?
Probably 8 by 8 is the top of my ceiling and the whole wall in one of my rooms, so it's probably 8.
I'm
8 to 10 feet.
I'm almost 6 feet tall, and it was taller than me. So it's pretty big. It was like your whole wall. It's cool. But
It's linked in the blog.
yeah, it is on the blog. There's a blog with Joanne's doing that, and there's a blog, there's a video on the blog where Jessica and Joanne are each showing you how to separate stuff in the different programs. So go check those out. We will post this up later on the blog. And then the free cut file is also on the blog. It's like the very first paragraph that you can just link to it and go make your own. And share them on Sundays, because if you guys do this over the weekend, I want to see different colors.
I want to see too.
Yeah, because Jessica's is different. Like hers is, what would you call your color scheme?
Like maybe a little bit nautical, like
Yeah.
with the navy and the gold,
Yeah.
girly nautical. I don't know. That's not really. I don't know. It's my favorite colors.
They're bold colors. That's what I describe them as.
You can see mine is separating. It's wider than it should be, but that's the nice thing about this file. It's fine. And don't stress too much when something like that happens to you, especially with files like this, because it still looks fine. It's just gone further apart than what the original plan was, but.
And your E, the shadow is different.
Yeah, the shadow is different.
But it doesn't matter. It's just however you want it to look.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't get too. I mean, put it crooked on your wall if you want. On the blog, I put it crooked on the fake wall.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can put it however. So something I'm curious about is I want people to guess, and maybe they're really familiar with vinyl prices, but how much do you think retail value on Expressions Vinyl site? How much do you think? How much vinyl do you think we ordered? Like, how much do you think this thing cost? I'm just curious to see what people think, and we'll tell you how much it actually was. So,
Let's see what people think.
do you remember your cost, Joanne?
Yeah, I think so.
They're pretty close.
Okay, I didn't factor in transfer tape, so just the
didn't.
vinyl. You didn't either?
No, but I've been using that roll of transfer tape, and I still have some left on the roll, so it was only a partial roll that I used, and they're what?
10,
10
no,
something
about
per
12
roll.
Yeah.
for that one. But you've been reusing.
I've been
the same
reusing some of them, and I
pieces.
could have reused more,
Yeah.
but yeah.
That's one reason why I really like the grid. It seems like it's a little bit thicker, so it's almost easier to reuse. People are guessing 20, 40, 30, 30, 50. I think the cost would be around 70.
Woo! Wow!
30. This is just for you purchasing the vinyl, not
Yeah.
like putting it and installing it for someone. This is just how much it would cost you to purchase the vinyl,
Just-
not the tape.
Yeah.
The vinyl. 10 to 15, 25. And Joanne is using, what did we say, 7 different colors? 7. And Jessica's using 5.
Yep.
Joanne's kind of looks like the EV color scheme.
It does the turquoise and the pink. I like it.
What? Where's your dots?
I don't know.
Ooh.
I did it again.
When it slice, I don't know.
Did you lose your dots?
Do you have dots?
I do. I haven't put them up yet. I changed the color of my dots.
I have these dots, but I don't know.
Yeah, because one's for the E and one's for the.
I don't
Your
know.
R should have 4 little dots like that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Because it should have stayed with this one right here.
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't know.
That's something small enough. Like if you were putting this up for yourself, like You can recut really easy or leave it off. Like I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah.
Joanne's almost done. You only have you still have to do there and always, not always, yeah. Jessica's pretty much done.
I gotta put up my dots and finish my E. So I'm surprised how close of time we were too. To put them up. Okay, so my cost, because I used some rolls, I used 3 rolls, and I used most of the rolls. Mine was 18, just over 18. I think it was like 18.50 something of vinyl.
Mine was 20 because I just used sheets, but if I'd have used rolls, which I could have
Yeah.
on this one, the blue I could have used, and the black, I could have used a roll. But mine was 20, so.
And you didn't
And there
use
was
all of your
leftover
sheets.
pieces, no,
Yeah.
There was leftover pieces. But I mean, this is a huge thing. So if you were to think about how much you would go into a place to buy a piece of art, that would be so expensive for that size of thing. So I was actually even a little surprised how cheap this
That
was.
turned out to be. So yeah, like if you put this in a room, like yeah, you're looking at roughly like $18 to $20 without tape. But most people have tape. But
Well, and tape, I mean, that would add
yeah,
maybe
10
a
more.
few dollars, yeah.
And tape's a staple. You need tape. So and Joanne's reused hers.
Yeah, she has reused a ton.
Should have done it lower so I don't have to stretch up this tall.
Candy was pretty close. $17.99. I don't know how many people actually went on the website and added these two.
5 colors, 5. And that's without a sale, too.
Yeah.
That's no coupon, no. So you could do it even cheaper.
Few people are still tuning in. Monica, we're glad you're here from Southern California. We are working on cutting stuff large. They're make these about 4 feet by 4 feet. So we're just showing tips and tricks. We're getting kind of towards the end, but if you want to go watch it after it's posted, you'll see all the tips and tricks. And they've done it completely different. So there's no like rhyme or right, wrong, rhyme or way to do this. But and they both look a little different.
Different programs, right?
Different programs with same file.
Same file.
Same file.
Dun, 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 dun. I should have started higher.
You can tell who's taller and who's.
Yeah.
We're about the same height.
Mine would be like here.
I just started on this, so it was a little lower. You started.
Yeah, I started with my always, which I just put like where was convenient, like where would be easy.
All right, Jessica's done with hers. What do you guys think? Can you go over your colors?
Yes. So, I've got some bubbles I need to get out. So this is, here, I've got my sample kit. Orcal 631 in lipstick. I love that lipstick pink. Carnation pink, which with this wall, I do wish I would have kept the white outline on the arc because I feel like it's getting lost a little bit. But anyway, that's carnation pink. And then we have got dark blue for the C and the E. Teal for these guys, and then the gold, which I think it's gold metallic. I think this gold metallic is kind of underutilized because it gives you the shine of a nice gold, but it's removable vinyl, so I like it. I like the metallic in it.
Sally says she loves the gold and she would have done an outline with the pink too.
Yeah, I wish I would have kept, because I feel like it's getting lost in that wall color a little bit, but.
So that's another good reason to have sample kits, because if you're gonna go put vinyl up on someone's wall, you can see what their colors are gonna look like. 'Cause
Yeah.
if it was a little bit darker, it'd
Yes.
pop out more. So it just depends. So you can get the sample kits as well too on the website.
I
And,
could use the soft pink
Yeah, so you
for a
can.
little bit more.
It just depends. Yeah, but it's really cute with the gold and the
I
blue.
do love the gold. I love the gold and that carnation pink together.
So you kind of already said it. If you put an outline or anything else, you'd do different.
I would have started at and as you can see, my E needed to go a little lower. But yeah,
But that's the nice thing about this file is it's not they're not straight. They're not
Right,
like,
it's a fun,
it's skiwampus. It's whimsical.
it's whimsical, yes. So have you guys seen, this week we did, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and we posted a video on Tuesday, I believe it was, about us doing vinyl on school bathroom doors. It was such a fun project, and it was big things like this. Not as big as these, because the stall doors are only so wide, but it was a big project. So go check that out if you guys haven't yet. It was way fun, and we have a follow-up video because we did those in September. So we did a follow-up video, spoiler alert, to see how much the kids picked off. And I'm not going to tell you how much, but it was surprising. So that follow-up video will go up later. Monday. So stay tuned for that.
Debbie wants to know, could you still add the white outline on the R now?
I think I could. I think I could peel this off carefully, have a solid place for it to sit, put up the white, and then put up the pink.
You could also knock out if you just wanted to fill in.
Yeah, that's true.
Or on the program, just shift your R over and do a knockout and just
Have
fill it
a
off
little
to
white.
the side. Yeah.
Have a little white outline would be good.
You could still do the offset too. But
If this were littler and a finer thing, you wouldn't want to deal with it because it's going to be so fine. It's going to stick back onto each other. But where it's a nice thick line, it's a lot easier to work with and save. So, I like Joanne's colors. Cute. So fun. Oh, I messed up. That needs to go behind. Should I fix it?
oh yeah.
I'm looking at Joanne doing hers and realizing that this T should be behind. See on Joanne's how it looks like the T is looping through the L?
Which is an easy fix with removable.
So I'm just gonna lay that back down.
So one of the videos we posted
Pop
a
that back
while
over the
ago,
top.
was it the mermaid one? The mermaid one, people noticed really fast that she went from being behind in the video to being in front. That's what I did. I just lifted it up and fixed it. So you can do it. It's not hard. Done, Joanne?
What's our time? How long have we been live?
A little over an hour.
Nice.
Well, we started late, so about an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had most of it cut out. We each cut out a couple pieces and then weeded them and put transfer tape over. So I bet all in all you'd be 2 to 3 hours into this project.
At the most, yeah.
They do want to know, how did you guys know? This might be a loaded question. How long did it take you to pick your colors? That's the most time consuming for me.
That was absolutely my most time consuming thing.
I can tell you what I did. I didn't want to decide, so I just took the cheat sheet downstairs and matched the colors from the Starless file.
Well, which is awesome. Like then the colors are already picked for you in the file. So.
But it'll come in color, so if you're like, I'm not a mint person,
You can play with it, yeah, change the
Jessica's
color.
is all changed.
I think I agree with you on the lighter color. I wish there was white behind that.
Yeah, a little bit, just to set it off a little bit.
That one.
And you guys both used a metallic. I didn't realize that. till
Oh, you did a silver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the gray and the
Yeah.
file, but yeah.
So, but I mean, there's different. We have not just removable vinyl. We've got glitter. We've got shiny. Like,
That was my initial reason because I was gonna put some glitter. That was my initial reason for changing the colors because I wanted to show how you could layer glitter onto removable
oh, heat
because glitter
transfer?
is a permanent adhesive.
Oh.
Just yeah, and then but I was like, no, simple, keep it simple. So
That's the part I struggle with the most. I always like have to like, because you can do heat transfer glitter on top, but
Yes.
that's a whole other.
yeah, that's a
Whole other thing.
that's a
But it's
thing.
cute. It's on the wall. So, you guys have anything else to say? What would you? I didn't ask you. What was there anything you'd do different?
Well, I put the white under that. You could spend a little more time lining it up, but I really don't mind how it ended up.
Me too. I like how there's a little more space between your time and your two.
I might add,
Mine's
I don't know what
illustration.
happened to my dots. I might add more dots there and maybe some different color dots there or something.
Or just like fill in with
Flowers
shapes
or something,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like if I would put stars,
Starlight.
or Joanne would put mixtapes. Jessica would put pineapples. Just saying.
We'll have our things.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think? If you missed it, go back after we post it and go watch the whole thing. Watch our tips and tricks, and we've got videos. And yeah, did you guys like doing this?
It was way fun. I loved it. We've been talking about this project
Like
For almost 2 years.
for a long
To be able to show people that you can use the same exact file and cut the same exact size with both different machines.
Yeah.
Because people have that question all the time, or they think they're limited on one machine versus the other. And you're not. You just have to go in and slice your image a little bit. And standing back looking at it, you would have no idea where those were at.
Right.
You're only going to know unless you get really close. But you
Yeah.
can do the same exact thing on both machines. So,
And I have to say, drawing it, like just, I wasn't sure about it, but once you get it up, it does look good. Like, I like it. It makes me happy.
That was something I was going to say. Starla hand drew this on her program. I don't have a clue how to do that, but I think it's so cool how much you can do. Like, take your own drawings and take your own creations and make them into vinyl.
Yeah. And
It's awesome.
yeah, I love it. Then you guys can come to my house too. I need stuff on my
I'm going to
walls.
sign up now. We got to go to Corey's and Starla's, and
We'll just take the tour.
we'll just go around. And if you're in a
You're
different state, you're going to have to pay for us to get there, but we'd be happy to.
Hawaii.
Somewhere nice and warm.
So, thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, keep leaving questions. We'll get to those.
So, okay.
Happy Friday!
Bye,
See ya.
guys.